President Biden making a campaign stop in our area tomorrow. Details coming up.
RSV cases at Rady Children's are holding steady, but doctors are now seeing more of something else.
Boycott PayPal has gone viral over claims it's fining people for misinformation. The Verify team finds out what's really happening.
The famous Randy's Donut Shop's coming soon to San Diego. We'll tell you what the hype is all about.
CBS 8 News live at 6 starts right now. Midterm elections are now less than a week away, and one race in our area could decide who controls Congress. Good evening, I'm Jesse Pagan, in for Marcella Lee.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. Incumbent Representative Mike Levin, a Democrat, and his Republican opponent Brian Marriott are in a close race for the 49th Congressional District. And as CBS 8's Kirsten Holmes found out, the race is so tight that President Joe Biden is coming to San Diego to campaign for Levin. Kirsten?
I'm live here at MCAS Miramar, where President Joe Biden is expected to land tomorrow before heading to Oceanside. Now, Democrats are pulling out the big guns right now because Mike Levin and Brian Marriott are in a really tight race in the 49th district. That's considered a swing area, so whoever wins this race could determine the balance of power in Congress. But the big question is, will President Biden's appearance help or hurt Mike Levin?
I think it's a big open question to see what Biden's presence is going to mean to local Democrats.
Nikki Usher is an associate professor of communication studies at the University of San Diego.
On one hand, it could fire them up. On the other hand, it could, for all the voters that haven't made a decision, having Biden present could remind them that gas prices are higher than it's ever been, that milk prices are higher than it's ever been, that mortgage rates are higher than it's ever been.
Usher says having a sitting president stump for a candidate is a pretty big deal no matter what your political leanings are. But for Biden and Democrats, the economy is going to be a tough issue to overcome.
If Marriott starts to campaign with inflation as the key last minute that makes people forget he's a Republican, I think that could be really consequential for such a tight race. Unfortunately for Mark Levin, Joe Biden's current approval ratings are now at 40%, which is a little bit better than he was a couple of weeks ago.
The race is a rematch between Marriott and Levin, who faced off in the 2018 primary and again in the 2020 general election, where Levin beat Marriott in a tight race. Usher says there's still time for even more national attention, this time from conservatives.
A big game changer could be if Trump starts talking about the Marriott election. If Marriott comes out as being closer to Trump, moderate California voters are going to see that and freak.
As President Biden's approval ratings hover around 40%, Usher says it's all about strategy.
Where will Biden's energy be possibly most helpful, but at worst a neutral? And I think that California is a place where every Californian who's a Democrat is still going to vote for Biden. And so I think he will do the least damage in a Democratic state.
Meanwhile, young voters say there's an uphill battle for all politicians as they get ready to head to the polls with their key issues and the future top of mind.
Approval ratings are not the best right now. Obviously, our economy is not in the best state.
Especially since we're all seniors in college, we're entering the workforce next year.
All right, so this isn't the first time top Democrats have come to our area for this type of election. Back in 2018, Bernie Sanders came out to stump for Mike Levin, and it worked back then, but now that there's been some redistricting in the 49th district, all eyes are on those voters to see what happens next. Reporting live from Miramar, I'm Kirsten Holmes. Back to you.
All right, Kirsten, thank you. Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis on storm watch over the past day or so, and also keeping an eye on the skies. Carlene?
It felt like the seasons changed right in front of us.
It definitely did, and we're getting an early start when it comes to winter. So you are talking about a winter storm that rolled through. We had a cold front. We're not done just yet, so that was the first wave of moisture. We got another one. So right now we're just talking more of a lull. It's really gorgeous out there. We saw some afternoon clouds and some sunshine, but let's go ahead and set the clock in motion because we have another influx of moisture as we go into the overnight hours. It's like a while you were sleeping sort of situation. So you're looking at some scattered showers that start to increase a little bit more coverage into about 4:20 in the morning. That's also when we start to have that snow level coming down to about 4,000 feet. We will have snow in our local mountains. You're talking about 1 to 4 inches expected. So around Mount Laguna at 4:20 in the morning, there will be some showers and some snow, as well as talking about some isolated thunderstorms being possible for the coast as well as the inland valleys. Could see that extending in towards the mountains around 7:15, still dealing with some slick roads and some snow out there. So give yourself a little extra time on your morning drive, and then everything starts to dry out by the afternoon hours. We'll go ahead and take a look at your complete forecast coming up. Jesse, Carlo.
All right, Carlene, thank you. Tonight, a new website is up and running to help sexual assault survivors in California track their own rape kits.
Governor Newsom signed it into law last year because of a 2020 audit that found a backlog of untested rape kits. As our political reporter Morgan Reiner tells us, there's also a statewide coordinator for the first time.
And having a statewide organizer is a big deal because up until this point, a rape crisis center told me that there was no statewide organization. Now, this coordinator is supposed to work with local law enforcement agencies and labs to make sure that those kits are tested in a timely manner.
After being raped, Beth Hassett said getting a rape kit done is often the second most difficult moment. She is the CEO of WEAVE, the Sacramento Rape Crisis Center.
Going through the exam can re-traumatize the victim. It's a very long and stressful procedure.
And then to be in the dark after, not knowing how long it would take before you would get results, if any.
Anything can be a barrier. So not thinking that your kit's ever going to get processed absolutely could be a reason that somebody doesn't come forward.
An audit from 2020, which found that there was a backlog of about 14,000 rape kits in California, lit the fire. Lawmakers passed a bill last year that required the creation of a website so victims can track their rape kits. It launched on Tuesday.
Getting that information in real time and actually being able to track what happens to the DNA and that evidence can be very empowering to a victim.
The good news for bigger cities like Sacramento and San Diego.
San Diego's got it down with all things. So yeah, it's a lot of the smaller counties. I mean, you know, the challenge is when they only have a few assaults a year, they just don't have the systems in place always to process things. You'd think it would be opposite. But, you know, here in Sacramento, we have between 300 and 400 sexual assaults that are reported, and a kit is collected every year. Sacramento County has always been on top of it. They've been really good about getting those kits done.
The Department of Justice hired an outreach coordinator to track the progress of the new tool.
I think it says a lot for our state that we are actually putting a person in charge of overseeing this. It's one of the biggest challenges in our state is that things are very fragmented, that there isn't one watchdog agency keeping an eye on things. And I feel like this is really good forward momentum.
Hassett said DNA is extremely important because oftentimes there's a pattern. Rapists don't just rape one person. So having DNA in a database can help track serial rapists.
Thank you, Morgan. Tonight, San Diego police are investigating two men they say were impersonating sheriff's deputies.
Officers made a traffic stop on October 22nd near Waddle Drive when they saw a driver and a passenger wearing what they say looked like San Diego sheriff's uniforms. Neither are department employees. Officers detained them, and when they searched the car, they say they found law enforcement style equipment, a replica firearm, and narcotics. Both were cited and released for misdemeanors.
We have an update on a story that we've been following for weeks now. Doctors at Rady Children's Hospital say RSV cases are steady, but they are starting to see more kids with the flu.
Right now, the hospital is still at capacity, and depending on when you go, you'll likely wait hours to be seen. CBS 8's Shannon Handy has what parents need to know now.
In recent weeks, a lot of kids have been coming into the ER here at Rady Children's with RSV. Last week, the wait times averaged 6 hours or more. Today, it's closer to between 2 and 4. And while that is good news, doctors say parents shouldn't let their guards down.
We're used to seeing waves of one virus after another. I have never seen all the viruses circulating at the same time.
Dr. John Bradley is the director of infectious diseases at Rady Children's Hospital. Last week, he talked about what was contributing to long wait times in the ER. Kids were coming in sick with COVID, RSV, and the flu. But it was RSV, a respiratory virus, that was the biggest concern, especially for parents of young babies, some of whom wound up hospitalized for several days.
What RSV does, especially in younger children, is it causes inflammation in the lung.
Over the span of 3 weeks, 650 kids at Rady Children's tested positive for RSV. Today, I checked in with the hospital to get a status on cases. A spokesperson told me RSV cases are holding steady, so no major changes to report. However, doctors are seeing an uptick in the flu. Over the last 7 days, Rady Children's has had 169 positive influenza tests That's up from 66 positive tests during the previous 7 days. Right now, 9 kids are hospitalized with the flu. Countywide flu numbers have also exploded.
We're bracing because the numbers are still going up.
Denise Foster is the chief nursing officer with the County of San Diego. She says typically flu cases spike in early winter, but county numbers show in the week ending October 22nd, there were 856 positive flu cases, up from 591 the week before. Compare that to the same week last year when there were just 15 cases. Foster says it's a good reminder to practice good hygiene, stay home if you're sick, and if you haven't done so yet, get your flu shot.
Case rates are really high. People sometimes like to wait till later in the year to get a vaccine. This is not the year to do it. Now's the time to get the vaccine, prepare yourself, stay healthy, especially in preparation for the holidays.
The county will be releasing updated flu numbers tomorrow. As for getting your flu shot, it's available at any local hospital, pharmacy, or through the county. Just call 211 for more information. For CBS 8, I'm Shanna Handy.